Good day, YouTubers. My mother passed in early June, the first few days of June, and no one told me anything until the end of November. 6 months passed. So what happened? So she had a massive stroke the week before in the nursing home. So for a couple of years, she's been living in a nursing home under 24-hour care because she was not well. Okay. And then after that stroke, she was moved to hospice, and she passed a week later. She was just shy of her 93rd birthday. Each of these events should have set off a chain reaction of calls, emails, texts, and actions, and they did. What was the action taken? Well, my mother was moved to hospice for her last days. Hospice is pretty much where you pass on. So this drama was playing out in Technicolor for my entire family, locally in DC, scattered across America in various states, and also overseas, where most of my biological family tree still resides in Eastern Europe. But I was not told anything, not even a whisper. Did family members fly in from across the country to attend her funeral? Did overseas relatives attend her funeral? They made flight arrangements, hotel arrangements. They suspended their busy lives to fly in and pay last respects to my mother. But no one told me. At a minimum, there are dozens of family members who should have felt an affirmative responsibility to inform me of my mother's death, that my mother was sick, that they had moved her to hospice because they were certain she was going to pass at any moment. So there was definitely at least a week's notice where she was on death watch when they moved her to hospice. When they signed a do not resuscitate order, should I have been informed? That she was now pumped up on so many drugs in the hospice because of the pain, and that she was literally not there anymore once she got to the hospice, and probably there was no really good reason for me to fly in to see her, and then her death and her funeral. There were a lot of opportunities to notify me, to inform me, the son. I think it goes without saying that my relationship with my family is crap. It seems rather extraordinary to me that no one in my family, even worldwide, and there are hundreds of people who could have told me, and also non-family members would have been informed because people talk, the 7 degrees of separation. No one made a single whisper to me. Nothing. Complete silence. Wow. So how did I find out? Well, my uncle called me, and he told me in a cheery voice that my mother had passed and that there would be a small inheritance, and that my sister needs to talk to me because she needs my address. Now, he just completely skipped over it, like the death was nothing, and that I should focus only on this possible small amount of money. It was a complete throwaway. Oh yeah, your mother died in June, but you're going to get a check at the end, so that's good, right? Wait a minute. Just hold on one darn minute. Did you really just tell me my mother passed away 6 months ago, but I should focus only on the small distribution check that I may or may not receive from her estate? What estate exactly? My mother didn't have an estate. Look at the pretty flowers. When I asked him why he didn't tell me sooner, he said, oh, he didn't know. I said, well, weren't you invited to the funeral? He said, no. So then I was talking to my sister directly because he told me to contact my sister. And then she told me he was invited to the funeral and he didn't want to come. He declined to come. And that his brother and his brother's son both attended the funeral and the wake. When I told him, because I'm texting both of them back and forth, that I was told that he was invited, then he got angry at me and very self-righteous, explaining that he had lapsed into a diabetic coma and had to be rushed to the hospital. I sincerely hope this is not true, because that would be very serious. But he may be prone to exaggeration. Plus, his wife is very sick with cancer. And, that's true. His wife is quite sick with cancer, and she's going through a whole bunch of treatments. And then he asked me for 10 grand. Add to this the fact that I spoke to my brother 3 times during this period from June to November. We spoke in May, just before her death, in August, just after her death, and September. And the last 2 times were after she passed. Not a word. I do recall him saying at one point, one time, our mother is very sick. Interestingly, during this entire period, I was thinking about my mother, that she would surely die very soon. I even made a video about exactly this on September 4th. In my video, I state that my mother, my brother, even the lawyer controlling the trust were calling me and telling me that they love me. All this love, love, love stuff is just gaslighting, lies. There have been 500 armed attempts on my life. In fact, I've had more armed, violent gun assaults on me to kill me than any living person. Okay, and I'll claim that because that's true. Okay, these people have been trying to kill me since I was 10. And every plane I've ever gotten on, they followed me on every plane to every foreign country. I was a traveling auditor inside the U.S. They followed me everywhere inside the U.S. Every time I ever got on a plane in my entire life, and most of the time, whenever I traveled out of the state, they followed me every single time. They won't let me go, not for a minute. They want to keep eyes on me at all times. How freaking weird is that? Okay, and when I retired from the federal government, took early retirement at 46, they set up this elaborate meeting, which included 100 people, including Shem Steinberg and his entire disgusting satanic family, may God damn their souls, and his lawyers, all solely for the purpose of stopping me from retiring. Why? Because I'm not allowed to get away from them. I'm a slave. They have to keep control of me every second of my life, and they have. Keep your friends close. Keep your victims chained in the basement. Okay, that's their motto. My brother denies the love bombing because I've asked him about it. But I have 3 calls documented on my phone during this same time period. You know what might have happened? What probably happened? My mother was coming in my dreams and telling me that she loved me after her death, because I made that video that she was going to die after she died. She died in June. I made the video in September. She may have been coming this entire 6 months because I was thinking about her constantly and that she would die soon. And I was even praying for her, because you should pray for those who are going to pass and those who have passed. And I think the only people who do this are actually the Mormons. And I think they're right because the Bible actually says that. So if this happened, that they were love bombing me, we love you, we love you, just, we love you, just, we love you, right? Yeah, right. Okay. Look at how intentionally deceptive my family is. If this actually happened, and I think it did. I think it's a little of both. I think my mother was coming in the spirit, and I think that they actually did, play the love bombing game. So what are they doing? It's all just gaslighting. Never, 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 ever, ever, ever does anyone in my family ever speak truthfully to me. Why didn't they just tell me about the death of my own mother? Because they're hiding and lying. What are they lying about? Everything. Name it. All of it. It's all lies. Behind all of these circumstances is an implacable, unyielding voice of pure evil. There's only 2 times I've ever heard that voice come naturally from its source. The first source was my father, Victor, the greatest serial killer probably in human history. And why won't these jack-offs dig up the bodies? Resources. Yeah, whatever. And the other time is Shem Steinberg. Okay, these 2 people, it's their natural voice. They are the implacable, unyielding voice of pure evil. Remember Ellen DeGeneres, and how her entire brand was kindness? Be kind, says Ellen. Then it comes out that her employees on her show were being fired for going to their mother's funerals, that people were being sexually harassed and assaulted, and there was, she was so mean to people that she is now known as the meanest person in Hollywood. Well, Shem Steinberg makes Ellen look like an amateur. While Shem was holding me hostage one time, I had a vision. And what I saw was that his energy was exactly the same as a fallen demonic angel that I witnessed taking somebody to hell. I've witnessed 2 times people being taken to hell by demons. The first was my father. The second was this guy. He was just a guy at work. He played the race card on me, and his soul, through no fault of my own, got snatched out of his body right there on the spot. It was all on film. The whole thing is on film, but there was no audio. So anyway, way down this hallway, there were fallen demonic angels. So there were two angels escorting this guy uh, down this like infinite hallway. Okay, that was not literal. And way down that hallway were demonic angels waiting for him, and they were just hiding, and they were just so cold, absolutely without feeling or compassion, so much so that they were just clearly not human. And I've never otherwise met any human besides my father or Shem Steinberg, the great director, so cold, just a monster through and through. So, in human terms, I am describing a pure psychopath. They just simply do not empathize with their victims. Shem Steinberg is such a man. He is the most evil human being I have ever encountered, and my father, Victor, is the most violent, brutal, and successful serial killer in American history and probably human history. And Shem Steinberg makes my father, Victor, look like a punk. Okay? Shem Steinberg is truly, truly evil. The point I'm making is this. Behind all of these circumstances throughout my entire life, speaking through all of the criminals, all of the murderers, all of the thieves, my father, my sister, my brother, my mother, the lawyer, the thieves who took my inheritance money, is an implacable, merciless voice of pure evil. And I would note that the FBI, in their very recent, very corrupt, very suspect, very compromised investigation, quote, investigation of these matters, found direct ties to the Russian mafia. Now, my father had a tattoo on his chest, right over his heart. It was a Russian mafia tattoo, and he showed it to me. And I didn't believe it at the time. Okay, so I actually know that this is true. I had no idea. I never believed it. It was too much for me to think about. But the FBI then told me that there were direct links to the Russian mafia. There's $100 million of money being laundered through banks, mostly in London, through London banks, and $500,000 in gold Krugerrands left hidden in a safe deposit box 2 states away from my father. None of this was declared on a will. There was no will. He just left $500,000 plus several $100 million just laying around. And, oh, but my brother went and picked those coins up. So those coins are not stolen money. The $100 million shifting around Europe is not money laundering. Is any of this money declared anywhere? No. Why? Because it's all ill-gotten gain. Duh. So my father's been dead 21 years, and until his death, he was the natural voice of implacable, merciless, pure evil. He controlled the money until his death. But whenever I speak to my family or any of the criminals who stole this money, I still hear the implacable, merciless voice of pure evil. But my father's dead for 21 years. I hear it from my mother. So then I thought, well, it must be my mother. But my mother is dead. Okay, because I heard her speak in this voice. Behind her is this voice. It's not my brother. I know he's being coached. And I spoke to my former best friends who also took this money, and I hear that voice. I know that's not their natural voice. Someone is coaching them. So I've literally had dozens of people call me and say, oh, we're going to cooperate, and we're just going to tell you everything. And then when I press them, they say, oh, no, we're not going to tell you anything without a lawyer. And why? Because I put the word out. Anybody who talks to me, anybody who tells me what's up, I'm going to give you full immunity. And so it's scripted language. They were told by the implacable voice of pure evil, call him up and say you'll cooperate, and then don't cooperate. That's the implacable voice of pure evil. So obviously they're being coached. So who is this energy? Is it Shem Steinberg, the famous movie director and the most evil man who ever lived and who molests children, who is a great child molester, very, very prolific child molester? Steinberg is a monster. He is as just as Ellen is kind. So is it the lawyer controlling the trust? I mean, he surely speaks through all of them. Or is it a kingpin in the Russian mafia, which the corrupt FBI agents established these links and then did nothing? I had no idea about the Russian mafia connection until the FBI agents told me. So don't go saying to me, oh, it's your idea. You made it up. I didn't make it up. I didn't know about it. Even though I saw the tattoo, I didn't make the connection. So Let me know what you think in the comments. Blessings to you, and please pray for me that I can resolve all this stuff and put all these scumbags in jail. Anyone who, and again, any of you jack-offs want to talk to me and tell me the truth, I'll give you full immunity. And if you don't, I'm going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Praise the Lord.